This is a review of James Bond 2 for the Sega Genesis. See, I actually used the Genesis in this review. James Bond 2, codename Robocod, for the Sega Genesis. Controls are A to stretch, B to jump, and C also stretches. Up, down makes you crouch, and then left and right, you know what they do. The game, when the game pauses, stops dead in its tracks. Now I know there was a cheat where you collect these 5, whatever they're called, in a certain order to become invincible. Except I forgot it. I think it was Earth, Apple, Cake, Sink, and Hammer or something. I don't know. Alright, now when you start up the game, you'll have to beat all the levels all over again. Tired of beating these levels? Well, I'm gonna show you how to skip those levels with some dialogue. That arrow says I should go to the right. I want to see what's at the left first before I go to the right. Oh my gosh. There is a level end thing. What happens when I touch it? I already finished the level. Alright, now done with that level. Now on to this one. Alright, now this game is like 30 times easier than Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Like, this game is a lot easier. Well, this game is still pretty challenging, but this game is nothing compared to Dr. Robotnik's. Now with that review that I gave of the game being so hard, that might make you think I hate it. But I don't. There are not too many games where I think you're playing as a penguin named James Bond, where you can actually stretch up. That'd be useful in some other games. And I wonder, is this supposed to be a parody of James Bond? Is this like parodied, fan-made? Is it a coincidence? I don't know. Because James Bond and James Pond. You're playing as a penguin thing, I don't know, whatever. I consider this game to be a classic. The music is probably one of the most joyful sounds ever. Except for especially the bathtub level where James Bond is in a bathtub and like there's a level where James Bond is in a bathtub, but then the faucet is facing the other way, which is controlling it, kind of like a motor. Now the enemies in this game are pretty creative. It's like birds with cards as wings. I wonder if someone thought of that when they were playing poker or something. That I never found. That took me forever to find. Anyway, in each stage there are multiple short levels instead of in a normal instead of just having one long level. They all have the same layout. Usually, sometimes they don't, but usually they do. Or they at least have similar layout. Or at least it has the same theme at the least. Alright, so now this game is like... This is a game where you... This is kind of like a maze game because you're trying to find the end of the... because you're trying to find the end of the level before because you're trying to find the end of the level, which is kind of like a puzzle. So this game is part puzzle game. This isn't really I wouldn't call this an adventure game. I wouldn't necessarily think that this is like an adventure game. This is more of a platformer. The game is joyful. I think the plot was something about like it was something about these penguins, and the penguins were needed to be saved. I don't know. All I know is it involves penguins, and then all of a sudden, robocod, that's who I'm playing as, pops out of nowhere and saves the day. Now the thing that really sucks about this boss is that you have to hit him straight on his head or else you'll get hurt. Like if you just saw before, I just missed the tip of his head and I got hurt. Because you can't hit him anywhere from the side or else you'll get hurt. And that usually doesn't happen in video games. So this game's a little different. But that's okay. Difference is what makes this video game stand out or shine or whatever. Being different isn't always bad. So now, this game, I have no idea when it was released, and the cartridge is pretty weird shaped too. If you saw in the beginning, if you pause like there's this little grip thing. It's weird. I don't get the point of it. Well, I don't really get the point of it. Like why it's there, or what. Just in case you're wondering, I actually am using a camera to record. Which is why it looks rather bright. And that's also because I turned off the light so you'll see it better. Because I wanted this, that's why it looks a little weird when it's recorded. It looks like weird in a way, like the way it moves. Anyway, now that I got that out of the way, this game is probably rated E or K to A. I'm not sure what they use. They use different, but they all pretty much mean the same thing. All of the levels are very creative. All of the levels are extremely creative. This is really, really creative. I'm not kidding. It's the candy level, and there's like cake everywhere. There's just spoons. There's all like candy canes, I think, in the background. Cupcake girls, enemies, caterpillars. I'm not sure why. I guess it was just because it was colorful. And wait, I forgot. One of those power-ups back there was a Coca-Cola. I wonder if that candle is a... Yeah, it's hard to tell. Plate in the sky and then there's a bunch of desserts on them. Just brilliant. I could have never thought of that. I absolutely love this game. This game is one of my favorites of all time. This is one of those more This is one of those more games that aren't all about speed. It's like similar to Sonic the Hedgehog, but they're both very good in their own unique quality. This game is one of my all-time favorite games for the Sega Genesis. And oh, and I think you have to collect all the penguins to beat the level. But if you do not have this game and you see it in the stores for $3, buy it. It's so much fun. This game is one of those games that you can play a long time, for a long time, every day, non-stop, like almost non-stop. You could play this game for as long as you liked. This is one of those games. Okay, so now I don't know what to do. How's anyone supposed to notice that? Oh. What? That wasn't the end? Oh, those things were put there to confuse you. This game isn't really too hard to figure out. This is a puzzle game. Much like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, except it's more enjoyable and more fun. This level, I remember this level so well. When I was like 5 or 8, I don't remember which age, but I played this level all of the time. Well, I'm not really sure if this was sponge or if it was like, now I'm not sure if it's like sponge cake or cheesecake or just cheese, because I don't know what either look like. But cheesecake, I'm not sure if it has holes like Swiss cheese, and I'm not sure if sponge cake has holes. What? This looks like the same exact level. Same. Was it meant to be like that? Alright, now here's the game over screen. There's ugly James Pond, and now that's the game over screen. You go back to the title screen and start over. Look at this thing you can do. It's like when you're stretching up, you can't even tell if you're moving or not. You see? Am I moving or did I stop? You can't tell, but the answer is I'm moving, because that happens when you stop. And there's also something, if you jump from a very high distance, you will make a giant bang on the ground. And the best part about this is that this does not hurt James Pond whatsoever. So that means that you can do this anytime you want. That means that you can do this as much as you want, and James Pond will not get hurt. Alright, so that's all the time I have. But before we go, just one more look at the cartridge. This was the grip thing I was looking at. There's the game. It's made by Electronic Arts, and the end label says robocod. Whatever. Honestly, I'm not sure what this thing is for. I'm pretty sure they made a bigger cartridge because it takes a lot of space. But this little grip thing, I have no idea what that's for. I wish I knew.